98.7 FM, Arizona's sports station. Bickley Blast.
Life comes at you fast in the NBA playoffs where teams and dreams can be painfully fragile. We in Phoenix know that better than anyone, and we are living it once again. Just 6 days ago, the Suns were clear-cut title favorites. Nobody in the regular season came close to their brand of sustained excellence and clutch time statistics. And then the playoffs began. And then Golden State unveiled their death lineup. And then the narrative began to shift. The Suns won a game, and everyone looked 5 miles down the road to an Armageddon series against the Warriors. And one game after that, well, Devin Booker got hurt. Now, it's easy to say we're not worried, but we also saw that look on Booker's face as he sat on the bench last night. He looked like a guy who already knew, and what he knew wasn't pretty. This is exactly what it felt like when Chris Paul went down against the Lakers last year, or maybe it feels worse because this was supposed to be our year, because the Suns had perfect health and arrested Paul entering the tournament, and that lasted all of 6 quarters. So yeah, you might be feeling cursed. Our history would suggest nothing different. Just understand that this is really no different than the adversity most every NBA team faces in the postseason. And I believe, like Vinny does, like most people do, that the Suns can beat the Pelicans without Booker. I believe they could even survive round 2 without Booker if necessary, but they are not winning a title without him, and they're not winning a title with the lack of urgency on display last night in the first half. That the Suns can control, and they better be a different team between the years when they get off that plane in New Orleans.
Chris Paul, who just very recently has been labeled as not a transcendent player on the worldwide leader of hot takes.
Yeah, wow. We're watching mouths move. We can't hear the sound, and the subtitle, whatever you want to call it, says Chris Paul is not a transcendent player.
According to Chris
Russo.
And I'm sure, that was on First Take. J.J. Redick is a panelist, so I'm sure J.J. Redick was eviscerating Chris Russo in the argument.
Right.
But
this is the garbage you give me! Yeah, so I do believe, I think there was a level of, I don't know how to put this, but if from the point that Devin Booker was hurt to the third quarter to the fourth quarter, when the Suns were for a while matching baskets with the Pelicans, and then the Pelicans just kept making every three-point shot after every three-point shot, it was really stunning to see that team play like the Suns normally do in the clutch, and the Suns struggle and finally basically ran out of fuel.
And in the fourth quarter, when the Suns couldn't get the stop, it felt so weird. Like their offense was playing a little bit more in sync, and they just needed to get stops. And Ingram kept hitting tough shots. McCollum, and you were like, "What's going on here? This is not the Suns."
Yeah, no, that's exactly right. So best case scenario, that was a moment in time that will never be duplicated because that collection of players in New Orleans will never shoot that well under that kind of duress.
No.
I mean, some of that stuff was really contested. After the game, Monty Williams said some of Brandon Ingram's shots in the fourth quarter, he'll take that defense every night of the week.
Absolutely. But when you have a player who's building confidence throughout the game, and a lot of those shots early on were not contested, he was rolling, and he's a very talented offensive player. But to your point about clutch time and how the roles got reversed, Chris Paul hit 2 free throws with 5:03 left. So when the clock hit 5 minutes, which is the starting time for clutch time parameters in the NBA, it was a 4-point lead for New Orleans.
Mm-hmm.
From that time on, they hit their next 6 shots.
Jay Crowder's had a couple of bad games, and already I've seen people talk about, this has got to be the last year for Jay Crowder. He doesn't rebound. It's amazing the dance we do with these guys when they don't play the way they're supposed to. Or perceived to play the way they're supposed to.
This is the way Jay Crowder plays, though.
We
have 2 full seasons of it.
That's my point.
My friend group chat was the same thing about we need to upgrade Jay Crowder next year. There's no way they could win with him. And I'm like, he's very streaky as a shooter. Mm-hmm. But even yesterday, he made plays where he's getting steals and he's getting physical when a lot of other players weren't, and he does stuff that doesn't show up.
He emotionally he gives this team fuel that it needs, and people have to get that through their heads and stop being so reactionary to his bad games.
Which is why, despite what the caller said, you can't take him out of the starting lineup.
Now, that being said, when those nights are going that way for Jay Crowder, does he need to take 11 shots? Probably not.
But the next one could lead to 4 in a row.
I wonder if all this Golden State talk, which in retrospect, it was irresistible, but it was also ridiculous. One game into a playoff journey, and we're already talking about a Western Conference Finals. And I'm as guilty as anybody because it looks that incredible on paper. I wonder if the Phoenix Suns didn't get caught up in that.
Maybe.